Good evening, this is Rashad Mitchell comes to you live from my YouTube channel as I continue on my part series, The Week That Was College Football History and Review, the 1969 college football season. This is week number 11 and week 12 will conclude the regular season of college football in 1969. We'll start with week 11 and then conclude with week 12. And then go over the conference standings, the AP poll. Tomorrow I'll do the bowl games. We'll start with November 27th to November 29th, 1969. This is week 11. There were 3 games on Thanksgiving. On November 27th, 1969, we're going to start with Mississippi, number 14 team in the country, beating Mississippi State 48-22. Sugar Bowl bound Ole Miss exploded for 27 points in the fourth quarter to ice close game with Mississippi State. The rivals were not at 14-14 until Rebels fullback Bo Bowen ended 76-yard march late in the third quarter with a 17-yard touchdown burst up the middle. In runaway fourth quarter, Mississippi quarterback Archie Manning threw 2 touchdown passes to wide receiver Vernon Studdard and scored a touchdown himself. Now, Bulldogs quarterback Tommy Farr out most of the year, outgained Manning in air and threw 2 touchdown passes, but on desperation pass he suffered 12-yard interception touchdown run back by quarterback Bill Jones during Ole Miss late spree. The same day on Thanksgiving, the next game that was played on Thanksgiving was between Texas A&M and number 1 Texas, but Texas won 49-12. Dynamic Texas built a 39-0 lead, scoring on 6 of its first 8 first-half possessions. The highlights included halfback Jim Burleson's 63-yard touchdown run up the middle, wide receiver Cotton Spieber 37 yards touchdown pass to tight end Randy Peschek off in and around run fake. And Texas A&M scored 2 touchdowns long after Longhorn Stars had departed in the fourth quarter. Tight end Ross Bruckbacher short touchdown catch. Defensive end Jim Piper's touchdown return, a block punt. On that same Thanksgiving, the third Thanksgiving game that was played on November 27, 1969 was between Arkansas, the number 2 team in the country, against Texas Tech, where Arkansas, the number 2 team in the country, shut out Texas Tech 33-0 in Little Rock. Coach Frank Broyles earned his 100th career win on strength of 3 touchdowns by Arkansas ace tailback Bill Barnett. Barnett now possessed 19 touchdowns in 1969, broke school scoring records set by his brother Bobby in 1965. Facing tough Arkansas defense, Texas Tech failed to make a single first down until the second quarter, but penetrated to the Hogs' 6, 16, and 19-yard lines only to come away empty. The Red Raiders quarterbacks passed 17 out of 43 for 216 yards, but suffered 5 interceptions, 2 by Razorbacks defensive back Bobby Field. Boston College beat Syracuse 35-10. Army beat Navy 27-0. Auburn, the number 12 team in the country, beat Alabama 49-26 in Birmingham. With some traditionally tough defenses apparently tossed aside, the bitter rivals compiled for 1,074 yards of offense. The difference in outcome was 4 lost fumbles among 6 turnovers by Alabama, as Christian Tide was left with its worst record since 1958. Alabama quarterback Scott Hunter threw for 484 yards, 30 out of 50 passing for 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Outpassed Tigers quarterback Pat Sullivan, but 349 yards rushing was led by fullback Wallace Clark's 117 yards and halfback punter Tommy Frederick's 85-yard touchdown run out of punt setup served as heady elixir for Auburn. The Tigers simply owned the second half after leading 14-10 at halftime. Only wide receiver George Renninger's 100 kickoff return for a touchdown, 100 yards in third quarter and last moment touchdown pass interrupted Auburn's dominance. Next, Tennessee, number 10 team in the country, beat Vanderbilt 40-27. Cruised to the SEC title, Tennessee methodically built a 26-7 halftime lead as quarterback Bobby Scott threw a 23-yard touchdown pass and ran 2 yards for another score. Even though he was knocked from game for spell, Vanderbilt quarterback Watson. Brown was formidable with 34-yard touchdown run, 6-yard touchdown pass, and 9-yard touchdown catch from tailback Doug Matthews, who had 128 yards rushing. As Commodores tallied 20 points in the fourth quarter, and Volunteers fullback Kurt Watson rushed for 115 yards and scored twice. Next, number 17 Florida beat Miami 35-16. Outstanding Gators offense through their trio of flying sophomores at Hurricanes as Gators halfback Tommy Dorrance scored 3 touchdowns, including an important 62-yard sprint after Miami had trimmed score to 22-16 midway in the fourth quarter. Florida quarterback John Reeves threw 2 touchdowns to wide receiver Carlos Alvarez, who broke 3 SEC receiver marks for the season. Miami quarterback Kelly Cochran threw for 223 yards, including a 25-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter to bounce back from early safety untackled by Gators linebacker Dave Gesquire. Next, Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State by a score of 28-27. Heisman winning Oklahoma tailback Steve Owens saved his best for his last college game. Owens rushed 55 times for to-date NCAA record, gaining 261 yards and scored twice for then record 56 touchdowns in a 3-year career. The Sooners enjoyed a 14-0 halftime lead, 14-0 first quarter lead, but Oklahoma State scored 3 unanswered touchdowns for a 21-14 advantage at halftime. When quarterback Jack Mildren went 34 yards to score, Sooners owned 28-21 fourth quarter lead. Accounting for team's fourth touchdown, Cowboys quarterback Bob Cutberth threw 6-yard strike to end Herman Eben with 1:33 left. Now, after the delay of game penalty, Cutberth was sacked attempting 2-point pass. With that failure, went any chance at victory for underdog Cowboys. And finally, Houston beat Florida State by a score of 41-13. Houston was ranked number 18 in the country. They won 41-13 over Florida State. Its tailback Jim Strong rushed for 200 yards on 22 carries, scored a 39-yard touchdown that provided Houston with 13-13 deadlock in the second quarter. The Cougars quarterback Gary Mullins pitched go-ahead 23-yard touchdown to wide receiver Elmore Wright before halftime. Strong added touchdown runs of 16, 37 yards, and a runaway fourth quarter. Florida State quarterback Bill Kappelman passed 18 of 37, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half. But his second interception with 1:30 left in the fourth quarter was run back for touchdown by tight end L.D. Rowden. Houston defense helped seal its 8th win in a row by sacking Kappelman 9 times. Houston defense helped seal its 8th win in a row by sacking Kappelman 9 times. So here's the AP poll as of December 1st. This concludes the talk recapping the week 11. The games I played from November 27th to November 29th, 1969. December 1st poll looked like this in the AP. Number 1, Texas. Number 2, Arkansas. 3, Penn State. 4, Ohio State. 5, Southern California. 6, Missouri. 7, Michigan. 8, Louisiana State. 9, Notre Dame. 10, UCLA. 11, Auburn. 12, Tennessee. 13, Nebraska. 14, Mississippi. 15, Purdue. 16, West Virginia. 17, Stanford. 18, Florida. 19, Houston. 20, Toledo. Now, the lone game that stood out for week 12 of the college football season in 1969 was on December 6, 1969. This was the game of the year between number 1, Texas, versus number 2, Arkansas, where number 1, Texas beat number 2, Arkansas 15-14. This was the game of the year for 1969. National title was up for grabs on a gray, chilly day in Fayetteville, with President Richard Nixon attending in person and millions watching on TV. Texas cashed pair of fourth quarter gambles to register to come back over Arkansas for national championship. Anti-Vietnam War demonstrators were outside the stadium, but Razorbacks put on a better early show for Nixon, self-professed biggest football fan in the country. The Pokers had turned 2 fumbles into 14-0 lead, prompting their screaming partisans to wave wear number 1 play cards. Just 2 plays into the game, Longhorns bobbled at their 22-yard line, paved way for Hogs tailback Bill Barnett to smash over from 1-yard line. Early in the third quarter, Arkansas went 53 yards to score after another fumble recovery. Quarterback Bill Montgomery pitched perfect 29-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Charles Dickers. I think it's Dykers. Who had 146 yards on 9 catches. I think it's Chuck Dickers. So number 1 Texas found itself out hustled, pushed to brink as fourth quarter open. On first play of fourth quarter, quarterback James Street dropped to pass but scrambled magnificently for a 42-yard touchdown run. Street followed with slanting 2-point option run to complete the Longhorns' first big gamble and earn a 14-8 deficit. Facing 4th and 2 at their own 43-yard line with 4:47 left, Steelers coach Darrell Royal decided every now and then you have to suck it up and pick a number. Number Royal called was long crossing pattern for tight end Randy Peschke, whom Street found behind 2 defenders for a 44-yard gain. Halfback Jim Burleson slanted off left guard for tying touchdown less than minutes later. And kicker Happy Feller kick conversion for 15-14 lead. Result remained in doubt as Montgomery moved Razorbacks from their own 20-yard line to the Texas 39-yard line. But with 1:13 to go, the Longhorns defensive back Tom Campbell angled in front of Dickers for clinching interception. Afterward, Nixon declared Texas as national champions despite Longhorns having to line up on New Year's Day against Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. So that concludes a look at Week 12 of the college football season for 1969, December 6th. That includes a look at the regular season of 1969. And concludes overall a look back at the 1960s, years from 1960 to 1969 as far as regular season games are concerned, as far as the regular season as a whole. The AP poll has looked like this as December 8th is concerned. Number 1 was Texas, number 2 was Penn State, 3 Arkansas, 4 Ohio State, 5 Southern California, 6 Missouri, 7 Michigan, 8 Louisiana State, 9 Notre Dame, 10 UCLA, 11 Tennessee, 12 Auburn, number 13 Mississippi, 14 Nebraska, 15 Florida, 16 Stanford. It's tied for the 17th spot between Purdue and Houston, and number 19 West Virginia, and number 20 Toledo. Let's look at the conference standings for 1969. The Ivy League was a 3-way tie between Dartmouth, Yale, and Princeton. The Atlantic Coast Conference was won by South Carolina. They were 6-0. Southeastern Conference was won by Tennessee with 5-1 record. Big Ten was a tie between Ohio State and Michigan, 6-1. Mid-American Conference was won by Toledo, 5-0. The Big 8 Conference was a tie between Missouri and Nebraska, 6-1. Texas won Southwest Conference with a 7-0 record. Texas won the Southwest Conference with a 7-0 record in the conference. Western Athletic Conference was won by Arizona State. They were 6-1. And finally, in the Pacific 8, Southern California won the Pac-8 with a 6-0 record. So that concludes a look at the college football regular season as a whole. For Week 11 and Week 12, the games that were played between November 27th to November 29th, 1969. Week 11 and Week 12, December 6th, 1969. So that concludes the look at that. Tomorrow I'll do the bowl games. Look at the 1969 bowl games. Let's conclude this 1960s recap of the years that I've been talking about the games and all that, all the whole 9 yards, and move into the 1970s and get into the era of the 70s and look at the games that were played from 1970 in the regular season all the way to 1979. Got a long way to go, but I'm going to conclude the era, recap of the era of the 60s, and conclude with the bowl games that were played in 1969, including the national statistics. The statistics led the league in rushing, passing, receiving, consistent All-American team who won the Heisman, who won the major awards in college football during the 1969 season. And things of that nature and much more to go with that to conclude the 1969 season as a whole. Please like and subscribe and comment on the channel. Deeply appreciate it. Do video this magnitude tomorrow, talking about the bowl games and much more. Until then, talk to you soon.